Teza, how are you? Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's what I thought of you. I thought I saw you walking, but no, it was a different dude. Different sexy dude. Yeah. I'm not there yet, so I'm just walking. My car's parked like just off the crossing there as you enter the car park. Meeting up with Teza. Here he is, the big dog.
She's working today. She's a boilie for the mines.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's fucking scary.
Teza.
Hey, hello, mate. How are you?
Teza Mckenna. Sweet.
You put on airplane mode.
Yeah, no, I've just done it then. I
Okay.
just know it's going to blow up the girls at the cafe.
Yeah, exactly. We're out of milk.
Yeah, literally. So first of all, thank you, Teza. You are the first person to talk to me on the interview, and I'm looking forward to what you have to say, bro. So a little brief history of Teza and I. Teza and I lived together. We were housemates. We were absolute dudes. Teza lived upstairs, I lived downstairs. We shared a pool, we shared money at convo, we shared, just a heap of good times. And Teza's got a bit on at the moment, and I thought what a great person to interview, and a bit of Newcastle folklore. Teza Mckenna, the voice of Newcastle.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Yeah, great to be here, Chris. Thanks for having a chat.
Yeah, perfect, man. Well, first of all, Teza, I just want, people to have a better understanding of a bit about who Teza Mckenna is. I know you shared me some stories about sort of in the early days of Maroubra, of surf culture, and you had a pretty colourful family life, and I guess that's some stuff that always really intrigued me, and I thought, wow, it's probably made Teza who he is today.
Sure.
Maybe we want to start there, just go foundations, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I grew up in the Sydney suburb of Maroubra, so my folks had a restaurant across the road and a motor inn right at the north end of Maroubra, so I was like plonked right in the heart of the whole thing, whether I liked it or not, and started surfing there when I was a grommet. I think my first board was like a Kentucky Fried Chicken Coolite board. You get a bucket of wings and a free surfboard, right? For $10. I remember.
Inflation, mate.
Yeah, exactly. It was only like those cork ones, right, that used to rash your nip. My nipples still haven't recovered. But so I started at Maroubra, and it was a great place, as I said, to grow up and to learn about respect. Be a part of a tribe like that was pretty cool.
100%.
It was pretty tough kind of upbringing. Of course, there was Lexington, which was just back from Maroubra, was one of the biggest attempts at putting a housing commission together in the southern hemisphere. So like co-living type situation.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because most of the guys came from broken homes, and it's a fair bit of a fair few sad stories in there, and single parents and stuff like that, and drug use and alcoholism, and so everyone was pretty tough, and as a result, because of broken family lives, all the boys kind of stuck together. So that's what created that whole kind of bra boy vibe, I guess, from the very beginning. I was lucky because my old man was pretty loaded. He was horse racing kind of a guy. We come from like a horse family. He was a very successful businessman, and had the place in Maroubra, and then we had a farm in Kangaroo Valley, which was on the south coast near Nowra.
Awesome.
We had horses down there, so it was like country living in the winter time. And then we had Nana's fibro joint on Soldiers Beach up at the bay, and that was our summer house. He used to leave a couple of boats, speedboats up there, and we'd go up there for summer, down there for winter. So
cool.
I didn't want for anything when I was a kid. It was a really privileged kind of a life.
And you lived in abundance. You know what I mean? Which is a nice thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really cool. And then one day when I was like 17, my man said to me, just come home randomly, and goes, we're moving. And I said, where to? And he goes, we're going to Nelson Bay to live. And I said, when? He goes, next week. And I'm like, next week? I'm not going. And he goes, you can stay here if you want, man. And I realised I just turned 17 and I didn't have my own money. I'm like, well, I'll go up and check it out. When I got to Port Stephens, I realised, holy hell, this is like the Whit Sundays of Newcastle, right? And back then it was a like sleepy little fishing and footy town. So I was kind of like that dude in Flashdance kind of thing. Like the guy from the big city who came to the little country town and changed.
Cruisy Sydney dude.
So it was an interesting You know, and then I started working at the Country Club Hotel, followed the World Surfing Tour, started getting into surfing, and it was really cool.
Yeah, cool. And that's probably the next part of your life I want to discuss. You know, I know a few brief things that you were the president of the IFBB World Tour for a while. Is that correct?
The IBA.
IBA, sorry.
Yeah, IBA,
Yep,
IBA World Tour, and then later on it became the GOB World Tour.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was a funny scenario, that one, because I got into... I'm not a bodyboarder, I'm a surfer, stand-up surfer, but I've been a champion for kneeboarding and all forms of wave riding. I've got a pretty open mind, you know.
100%. You're a man of the ocean. Like you're an ocean dude.
That's right.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I don't care for all that stuff about bodyboarders versus surfers or longboarders or goat boats or anything. Riding the wave, being in the ocean, that's the main thing, right?
Yep.
So one day I got asked to do some commentary for the bodyboard competition. I was here at Surfest at Newey Beach, and the guys loved the commentary so much, I said, come back and do it. I ended up next year going on tour with those guys. I was at an AGM and they said, does anyone want to have a go? The guy was stepping down. He said, I reckon Teza should have a go. And I went, I'll have a go.
Nice.
And the first year, Carl Bonnen was the CEO of Rebel Sport at that time.
Yep, big brand.
Yeah,
Massive
so
brand.
we had a connection to Carl. We rang him up. He goes, yeah, he's 350 grand. And we had like a really successful couple of years with the Australian Bodyboarding Tour. That was called the IBAA, International Bodyboarding Association Australia.
Yep.
Yeah, or Bodyboarding Australasia for short. So we had $10,000 events around the country. Then Mike Stewart and the guys rang me up and they said, hey, you guys are nailing it in Australia. You reckon you'd come and help us on the World Tour? I went, let's do it. And next minute, you know, the rest is history. I did the World Tour with those guys for 12 years. We got multi-million-dollar sponsorships, and it was, you know, living overseas for half a year and traveling the world. It was really some of the greatest years of my life, for sure.
100% it would have been, man. And was this around the time, I would say, like, you know, I was into bodyboarding growing up? Brian Hardy, Ben Player, Mick Rawlins, around that era of bodyboarding?
Yeah, exactly.
Like tensions videos.
Yeah.
Yep, all that time.
I remember those tension videos made it hard on us to get some sponsorship. Current Affair had them on a couple of times.
Man. They were like Jackass for like Aussie Bogans.
That's
like,
right,
yeah.
Chris White, I mean, he did pretty well over it. Chris was the one who made all the movies, but and a great guy and a great movie maker. But us trying to get the money, the people going, I don't know if we want to like align with bodyboarding, but it's always been the poor cousin of surfing, so they had to sort of jump up and down, do something different there for a while. But in general, I've always found bodyboarders to be really nice, genuine people. They do it for the right reasons. There's no fame and glory like the surfing tour.
True.
And they go around the corner and they surf these crazy waves that, you know, you couldn't surf on a surfboard. So
surfers are going, you can't surf with us, you know what I mean? It's that sort of localism
almost,
sometimes.
But even just riding waves that you couldn't ride on a surfboard because, you know, they don't have fins
true, like
on
a sucky, little sucky one.
Over shallow reefs and that, you know, where guys went, I'd love to ride that, but bodyboarders were the first guys to crack it.
Yeah.
So I've always had a utmost respect for bodyboarders and wave riders in general.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I love it. And I guess one more thing before we get into the main thing I want to talk about. So when did you realise, Teza, so like when I first moved to Newey, right, like, you know, heard the radio, your voice, your brand, you know, your trademark lightning bolt, you know, but you and I had lots of discussions about you being a company and, you know, organising events, you know, king of the box, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
When was the time that, you know, you really decided, like, I'm Teza Mckenna and I am going to be Teza Mckenna, brand myself as that and make that my story? Because that's what I see, man. Like, I see the lightning bolt getting around. I see, like, your sponsors. Exactly. Primal Rockstar, you're doing your thing. So when was the core moment that you maybe made a switch to get away from working for someone or doing your own thing?
In all honesty, I mean, it had been going on for 25 years before I even thought about it.
Yep.
And I say to people all the time that sort of 25 years of doing nothing became something.
Yep.
And so I didn't really think long term or big picture about it until COVID hit, and my manager that I have now, Troy Martin, he was working with Triple M, and he came to me and he said, look, I think that these people are really underutilising your profile in this town.
Yep.
Would you mind if I worked with you a bit closer, and I see that you're doing a video surf report, maybe I can sell that. And since then, Troy has got me a whole stack of ambassadorships with like DNR, Aircon and Solar and Central Coast, Just Spas, Burton Toyota, you know, all these people that, you know, pay me to do videos for them and to represent their company.
Yep.
So it was really around that time that I thought about it. in a bigger picture, because it's really hard to sell yourself.
Yeah,
because you just can't walk into somewhere and go, hey, I'm Teza Mckenna
Check
here,
me
I'm
out,
just trying to
yeah.
get some money for me.
Yep.
Whereas somebody else, it's a lot easier for him to walk in there and go, hey, you guys heard of Teza? They go, yeah, he's part of the fabric in Newcastle.
Yep.
And they go, well, man, you can be part of the fabric too.
Yep.
All right, so all you need to do is stamp your logo on the fabric, and you can travel along with him.
Cool.
So it was
good
a lot
sales point, you know what I mean? Like a good straight to the point, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a lot easier for him to do that. So yeah, it hasn't been for the first 25 years. It was just motoring along, and a good reason to and not making a whole lot of money out of it.
But living.
But I did work out pretty early. There's a difference between like making a living and making a life.
Yep.
You know, so
sure.
I've never been really, someone who's chased big money or materialistic things. You know, I'm more into like memories, making memories and having a good life.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
sure.
and really not a long-term kind of thinking guy, because I'm a bit of an ADD kid from the 70s, and I'm pretty spontaneous.
Undiagnosed.
Yeah, no, I was on Ritalin there for a while.
Oh, good. So you're a full ADD kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I learned to use that condition as a bit of a petrol to drive me through life, you know.
For sure.
So these days it doesn't come out too much, mind you. This week with everything that's been on The Voice and everything, it's been hard to keep it capped.
Very cool, man.
It's been a bit of an emotional ride for the last week, that's for sure.
And yeah, that's my next. So good segue. That's exactly where I was. Hey lads, this is what I was getting into. So when I met you, I guess it was maybe in the core stages of starting Primal Rockstar, Rocks On.
Yeah.
The bands you were working with. I know you were doing shows at Lazotte's, you were doing all these places. And I guess that's where I first saw it. I was like, fuck yeah, like Teza's doing what Teza wants to do. You know? I really admired that. And at the time I wasn't working in business, I was working for someone else. And I saw a bit of like, the conversations you and I had, and I was like, cool man, like this guy's just done what he wants to do. And now you've got your successful band, you're on The Voice, congratulations on that, man. Like, yeah, like, most people will never get out their armchair and they'll just judge from a distance, but you've done what you want to do.
Yeah, I've never really, I'm a big Billy Idol fan, obviously.
Yeah.
And Billy had a classic quote in his book that I kind of live and die by.
Yeah.
And it was that, like, sometimes you can't give a fuck about what people think about you, or you'll never advance yourself.
Yep.
So, I live on, like, in my own little biosphere, like Teza World.
Yep.
So I don't worry too much about all that kind of stuff. I just really try and focus on the finishing line. Like when racehorses, they have the blinkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why they have them? So that they can't see to the left and the right, and that they'll just focus on the finish line and gallop towards like what they,
goal.
Try and get the best, the best result.
So you're a horse family.
So yeah, that's right. So as an analogy, that's how I kind of go through life. Really, I don't really look to the left and right. I just make a decision on something and I gallop to the finishing line. So that's one part of that. But back to the music thing. I mean, I used to play in a band when I was at school.
Okay. Has it always been musical? Always loved that side of things?
So I was in that, and we used to play parties and stuff, and we were going pretty good. And then my dad, like I said, just came in and one day said, "Hey," we used to rehearse at my house because my family pretty liberal.
Yep.
And so one day he came and said, "We're moving." And I came up to Port Stephens, and then I got into surfing, and that was the end of music. So 40 years passes, had a reunion in 2015 at Maroubra.
Yep.
And I'm just standing there. I organised the reunion, so I'm just standing there like thinking about something, and three guys come and stand around me, and I'm like, "Hey, how you going?" They said, "Good." I went, "What's up?" And they said, "Who are we?" And I went, fuck do I know?
Yeah.
And they said, "We're the band." And I went, "Oh my God, you guys are the band. What the hell?" We had a bit of a cuddle, and they said, and then they planted the seed. They said, "You should have stayed with us, man. We all went on to have like brilliant musical careers.
Cool.
And travel the world with music and that. And you would have been the best front man. So good to see you, man," kind of thing. And that was it, 2015.
A passing comment.
So for 5 years, it was like echoing in the back of my mind when
ticking away at you.
Yeah,
I've got to do this. Yeah.
COVID hit, and I was doing some commentating on the World Surf League. I was getting a lot of work, living in Chile and Portugal and Canary Islands for 3 months a year for like 12 years. Had a great life, making good coin. And then COVID hit. Yep. And it just went back to just doing the surf reports and not being able to leave home sort of thing, or because I was living at Newcastle Beach.
Yep.
So I thought to myself, I always had a guitar, and I didn't really get into it. I thought, I've got all this time. And I picked up the guitar and I thought, you know, let me see if I can remember these Billy Idol songs that we used to play back in the day. And within a year, I had my own show at Lizottes.
Yes, very
So
nice.
it happened really quickly, you know. So, which is really cool for me because, you know, I didn't want that to continue to echo and not act on it, because sometimes, you know, I've seen friends of mine who have regrets that they didn't chase down a dream, and that they're the people that at the public bar most nights per week, and they're slamming down schooners and just like a bit angry that they weren't able to chase their dream.
Very common.
So so for me, I thought, I wonder how far I can take this, but I sort of, to tell you the truth, never thought I'd get this far with Adam Lambert turning his chair for me.
Dude, how sick.
I'm still in the show. I'm hanging out with Adam, and the other day I was down there and I was, had Adam Lambert there, and I had Sonia Kruger there. Sonia had a little hand on my leg. Adam had his arm around me. I'm making them laugh and telling jokes. I'm thinking, you can't take your phone in there, right? Because you've got to put it in a lockbox.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I wish I had a photo of this, but what a memory, you know? And what cool people, and just an incredible experience.
Yeah, like a court jester, man. Like you're doing your thing in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I've always been a bit of a court jester, and like the cheeky guy at school, and always getting in trouble because of the ADD, you know?
Yeah.
So even since I was really young, I've always been cheeky and a show off and all that kind of stuff.
It's in your DNA, it's in your blood. And
that's
come back to that branding aspect of things. I think that's why you've succeeded so well in everything you've done, man, because you are authentically you. People buy into that. Authenticity, I guess, at its core is what is fueling, you know, social media and trends at the moment.
Sure.
People just want to see authenticity.
Yeah.
And to me, like you told me one analogy once, which I always say now to people, I repeat this all the time, about the billabong, cruising down the billabong.
Yeah.
And getting caught in little ripples. So so it's the 1,000,000 miles an hour, but it's the not worrying about what happens if something does go wrong. So when you call into that billabong, it could be a bad one, it could be a good one.
Yeah.
But you cruise in it for a bit, you feel it out.
That's right.
Things go well for a while.
It's the river of life, remember?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I'm on the river of life. I'm on my little blow-up lilo. I've got my hands behind my back, and I just float to wherever the river takes me. Like, I don't really have a plan. And then what happens is you'll find out that the universe has a plan for you. Anyway, look, I am a bit of a kind of not a godly person, but definitely a man who's interested in the universe and the vibration of things and stuff like that. And I do believe in, good karma and just the general concept of good frequencies and bad frequencies.
100%.
Yeah, so, so anyway, like you said, sometimes the lilo gets washed into a little billabong, and I'll hang around there for a while, and then the tide will pick me back up, and current will take me back into the mainstream river, and I'll go to the next adventure. And when you live like that, because I'm not making any plans, it's not like my plans aren't coming to play. So there's no regret, and there's no failure.
Yes.
Because there is no expectation.
Exactly. And that's why things go well, because you're just on a trajectory. So before, when you said to me, what really stood out was how you just picked up the guitar. You weren't really worried about, like, you know, if I'm going to be good at it or not, but you're bored. COVID fucking got you thinking. So you played the guitar, and then the ADD pushed you to master that task.
Yeah.
And then just by not caring what anyone thought, you just kept doing it. And now you've got your band. Now you're on The Voice. You've sort of put a plan together over your whole 25 to 35 years of Explain, never not really knowing it was what it was.
No.
You were just doing what you were doing.
Well, it's like taking one step at a time. And the other thing, I do a bit of surf coaching, as you know. Sometimes the kids take off and they'll have this big, fantastic wall of water in front of them. And what they'll do is they'll look right to the end of the wave and think, I want to do an aerial at the end of that. Yeah. So they'll surf through. There goes Williamtown. How you going, guys? Doing a good job. So, sometimes I'll surf all the way down through all these beautiful green-faced sections, and I'll get to the end and there's no lip there anyway. Yep. So they've kind of missed the best part of it.
Yep. 100%.
And that's kind of like an analogy for life, you know, like that's like X marks the spot, so you're looking too far ahead. I have friends of mine and I go, well, you know, you guys, when I was traveling a lot, I used to say, you know, businessmen friends of mine, and they're really enthralled in their business, and I'm like, you guys should come overseas with me. And they went, oh, no, we possibly couldn't leave the business. You know, I'm like, I'm sure that you've got people that can look after it for 10 days. Come to Sumatra, we'll go surfing and hang out. And they're like, oh no, couldn't leave, couldn't possibly leave. But somewhere in the future, we're gonna get there. And I said, so it's almost like they say, okay, when I get to the horizon, I'm gonna do that with you. And then, you know what happens when you get to the horizon? What do you see?
The next one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So then what happens is it just goes on and they die.
100%.
So they never do it. They never get to that point. So, you know, I'm a real kind of a person who thinks, well, like, to be a human being on planet Earth,
Yep.
it's got to be like winning the greatest lottery in the galaxy. What's the chances?
Dude.
In all honesty.
Dude.
I mean, you have a look at all those stars and planets and stuff, and trillions of stars and galaxies, and it's, you know, unfathomable. But to think that we're here having this conversation,
Yeah.
how lucky are we just to be here?
Dude, I'll do a panel. Like, I'll show everyone. I'll do some more footage of where we're at right now. If you're not from Newcastle, never been here, we are honestly in one of the most beautiful places.
Yeah.
Along this coastline in Australia, even. I think it's an overlooked place.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to what Teza was saying.
Look, I mean, on Newcastle, just quickly, I've travelled the world, and I could have lived I love Nazaré in Portugal. It's a really beautiful city. All these different places, Puerto Escondido in Mexico, and all, you know, in Hawaii, and stuff. But you know, I choose to live here in Newcastle because I believe that that planet Earth is the best planet in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That B, Australia is the best country on planet Earth.
Yeah.
That C, it's too cold down south. It's too hot up north. It's a bit rocky and windy down south. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
And on the east coast of Australia, you've got all the white sandy beaches, right?
Hell yeah.
And then we're not too far north and we're not too far south, so we have 4 distinct seasons.
Agreed.
So using that theory,
Yep.
living in Newcastle, we're the luckiest people in the galaxy.
Well said. Well slogan, brother. Well slogan.
Exactly.
Hear that? What's it say? City of beaches now. Now it's just like best city in the galaxy.
Exactly. Yeah. Woo, go Newey.
Yeah, and then so I guess a closing statement, Tez. I've really enjoyed the chat we've had. Actually, it's, I didn't know what we were going to talk about, but I love when it can just flow like this.
Yeah.
So the closing question to me would be, what is one piece of advice to someone out there who maybe was in your shoes 4 years ago, didn't really know what was going on and decided to do something? What's your advice to people out there?
Yeah, I think it's, firstly, back yourself.
Yep.
Have faith in yourself. I think that's where, whatever you think you are is what you'll be.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind
of manifestation.
Yeah, and not just what you're saying, but what you're thinking. And don't ask me how, but somehow in this universe that we live in, it knows what you're thinking.
Yep.
So you can be saying one thing and thinking another, and you can't trick it.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no trick in the universe. It's already listening into everything. Somehow with quantum connectivity or, the string theory, or call it whatever you want, but everything's connected in this world. So I'd say first and foremost is, back yourself. The second thing I'd say is find out what you're passionate about and then make that your job.
Yep.
And then it's like you never go to work.
Ikigai?
Ikigai, exactly.
You taught me that as well.
Yeah. It's a Japanese theory where, all these things intersect, like what does the world need? What are you good at? What do people want? And how can you make money from it?
Yep.
Like all comes together.
Yep.
And like I said, it's taken a while. And I, to tell you the truth, I have hardly paid myself any superannuation. And who cares?
That's it, man.
I don't care. I mean, tomorrow the world could change. China could invade Taiwan, and the next day there'll be no toilet paper on the shelves, right?
That's it, man.
And petrol will be like $10 a litre.
Yep.
So this world that we live in is pretty volatile, and so my suggestion is to make the most of every single day that you're on planet Earth, doing what you love, and make sure telling people that you love, tell them you love them. That's a simple piece of advice.
Mate, strong words. I love it. Thanks so much, Teza.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate catching up, brother.
Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, awesome. Guys, is there anything you want to plug while you're here?
Just the Teza's Newcastle Surf Report, of course, online. You can find it on Instagram and Facebook. Get out there and see Prime a Rockstar. This is the band with Ian Walker and the guys. It's incredible. And we're doing a Billy Idol show along with Dress for Success. It's Roxette and Billy Idol together. Keep an eye out for us around town, and it's a great tribute show, and we have a lot of fun, that's for sure.
All right, sweet.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
See you in the water.